Hello, Gary Champion, Psychic Medium, with another little video, hopefully to enlighten. I want to make you aware of a new page on my website that my wife and I have been talking about doing since she showed up. That she would have her own little blog on my website. And what I asked her to do was keep track of all the strange stuff that happens around here and write a book. And I would publish it for her. I don't think we ever came up with a title for it. But I'm writing on a paranormal book right now. Oh, okay. I'll give you that part of it. Woke up in the middle of the night, and I've been writing on this book for quite a while. It's about paranormal experiences that I've had. And it sort of come to a dead standstill. Really need another chapter or two. And it's in the machine here. But last night I woke up and I heard, this is an example of the things that happen around here all the time. I woke up and I heard Vinita, Oklahoma. Now, it seems to me like I've heard the name, but I didn't know where it was. And then I heard Two Sisters. So I thought I came in here and turned on a light and wrote it down. Vinita, Oklahoma, Two Sisters. Written here somewhere. I can find it. Yeah, I've marked through it because I did discover who the two sisters are from Vinita, Oklahoma. Um, it's possible that I've been there. It's kind of in the area up kind of where I went to college. So I typed in Vinita, Oklahoma, Two Sisters, and up popped a thing about two Cherokee sisters who traveled the Trail of Tears. And for those of you who don't know who that is, it's the uprooting of Indian tribes in the east and moving them to the west to get them out of the way. And the Trail of Tears, they made them walk in the wintertime. Many of them died. And these two sisters got this far. And they're buried in a graveyard that up until recently had been covered up in grass and trees, and cows had walked through the gravestones. So it's an old cemetery, but no one had ever bothered to fence it off. And along came some people and fenced it off and started reading the headstones and discovered that two sisters who were on the Trail of Tears were buried there. And they had some kind of consecration or something there, and that was what was online. And they had cleaned the gravesite and they'd put a fence around it to keep the cows out. I guess it's one of those ancient burial grounds that you can't see it, but now you can. Anyway, looking for an ending for my book. That's what this is leading to. I didn't know it, but I walked around all morning. I told my wife about it, and then I sat in here and typed it and looked at it, and we talked about it, and thinking that's the ending of my book. That I'll go up there and I'll read the cemetery. I'll find these two girls and see what they have to say. Kind of interesting, isn't it? So my wife's blog is called Bunny Blog. There's nothing up there yet, just a little declaration that it will be on April the 6th. She's going to put a story up there. She may put this story up there. And it may be different than I've told it because I don't remember these stories. Anyway, so she's working on her blog and I'm watching a movie. And it's over with. And I said, hey, why don't we go to Vinita, Oklahoma, read that cemetery and finish the book? So you see how something that occurs in a dream that was so real that I got up and wrote it down has led to the ending of a book and another adventure for me and my wife. A road trip. Anyway, that's not what this video is supposed to be about. This video is sort of about evolving. And I'm evolving as a medium in different ways, many different ways. And as a race, as human beings, we're evolving. I'm not sure if in the beginning of time, when man first stood upright and began living, that we were psychic at all. I have no knowledge of that, but I have to think we were at some point. Just as a tool to survive. At some point, it got drummed out of us because people who write these little books saying "thou shalt not," in the history of the world, it's a tiny little thing on history. These people that write these books and say you can't do this because this guy said you can't do that. So it sort of took it away from us. We were afraid to say anything. People became less mediumistic, less psychic because they got beat down every time they showed it. Still goes on today, as a matter of fact. I think I may have done videos about it. And we're sort of back. The evolution of humans is, we're highly psychic. A lot of mediums out there that have come out of the closet. Because why? No one's persecuting for it. Or if they are, they're doing it at such a low level that, I mean, if you're different, and you listen to what other people say, you're making a big mistake. Because as soon as they know they've said something that hurts you, they're going to continue to say it until you stop doing what they don't want you to do. I always call that a kiss my ass moment, because that's usually what I tell these people when they say you shouldn't be, or you couldn't, or why, or I said kiss my ass. And they usually walk away because they don't want to incur any more of that. And I've got a lot of phrases that sound sort of like kiss my ass, but they're much worse. So we're coming out of the closet. Most people have these experiences. It's not just a few people, but almost everybody. The difference is that you don't listen to it, and I do. I wake up and I think it's 3 o'clock. There's a lot of stuff goes on at 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning. And if you're psychic, you know, you wake up in the middle of the night and you've got something interesting, you go back to sleep and you forget what it is. Not me. I will say Veneta, Oklahoma. What in the heck? It's Oklahoma, but where is it and why? Why am I hearing these two sisters? And I'll pursue it. Why? Because I'm a medium and that's what we do. We pursue things that often don't make sense to realize something. It's not earth-shattering, but in the evolution of man, we're doing more of that than ever. People are hearing things. They're pursuing these strange things they're hearing or feeling because they can, and they're curious. Man's never been more curious than he is right now. What's going on with this? Why is this happening? So as a people, we are coming out again, I believe, after a few years, I don't know, a couple hundred years maybe, of repression by people who think they know better than we do, but they don't. They're just angry that no one's listening to them anymore. Used to everybody listen to these people. The whole world was, oh, look, so-and-so said this. Oh, we need to stop doing that. Not very many people are listening to them anymore. The numbers dwindled. Why? Because the paranormal unknown has become known in many ways. Things that were not knowable before are all of a sudden here. I remember when I was in college that there was a group of people, psychologists, who were enrolled in a university to study psychology. But they were all involved in parapsychology, which is like saying paranormal. So that which isn't normal or quantitatively explainable by science. That's paranormal. Parapsychology is just that, things that don't make sense in the scientific world. And they were beginning to explore it then. the Ryan Institute, places like that. And I met a lot of those people. And why I met them, I have no idea. I wasn't connected to it. I wasn't a psychology major. But I was attached to it because I was interested. And from that moment till now, I've seen things evolve around me, where there's mediums all over the internet. And 10 years ago, 20 years ago, there weren't but a few. 40 years ago, you couldn't find one. If you said psychic medium, people looked the other way because they were afraid of retribution, which no longer is relevant. We have bigger fish to fry than someone's shaking their finger and saying, "Thou shalt not." We have bigger fish to fry. We're, as a society, trying to survive a pandemic. And one thing that happens when you put people in isolation is their brains begin to actually work. In isolation, you're no longer being brainwashed by the people and groups around you who say, this is what you need to be doing. We're free to think, and we do. And we come up with all kinds of unusual conclusions and avenues of investigation that we wouldn't if we weren't. It's all kinds of good things. I don't know, pandemic, it's a terrible thing. But even terrible things have produced some pretty great things. And I'm not talking about Velcro. But as a species, our brains are capable of almost anything. And yet we deny our brains the ability to function in the free forming sort of way that they were invented to be. And now we're back. We're exploring things that need to be explored. Here's the thing. The unknown is only a problem because it's not known. Once whatever the unknown is known, it's no longer a fear. It's no longer a problem. You think scientists are investigating things like that? Yeah, but they're not investigating this stuff. They're formulas and math, things that make sense, don't make sense to me. I can write my name and do fundamental math and things and write a book, but I don't have scientific method in me. Do this, do that, do this, do that. And I struggle with it whenever I see it on the internet. In order to do something on my website, I've got to follow 8 steps, and I can think of one. Now I have to print it out, and I have to go through each step because I can't hold that in my head. But I can see things they can't see. I know what's coming. So the evolution of man is never ending. Never ending. We were talking about landing on the moon in cartoons long before we went there. We were reaching out. We invented little toys for kids to play with and comic books, and it's all about space. Cars were made with fins on them to replicate the fins on a spaceship, on a capsule. The fins were about astronauts in space. They weren't conceived of as a design thing just for design's sake. They were popularizing something that was true in a small microcosm of the NASA people that were going to the moon. We all wanted to be a part of it. And here's your chance again, because the moon's close. We have a long way to go, but we're on the horse. We're riding across the prairie. We're doing this. All these are good things. And that's all this video is about today. Continue to explore that which hasn't been explored. Continue to reveal things that have not been revealed. The unknown. There's always an answer to the unknown. Why? Mediums, we don't ask why. And I couldn't figure out what this dream thing was about. I just walked around, went to the store, got some groceries. What is this thing about? I told my wife, I said, I know what this is about. It's about, because I talked about needing a finish for my book. They've given me the finish to my book. Go to this town, read the cemetery, put what you find in the book. That's the ending. Very interesting. Writer's block. They don't have it on the other side. They don't have writer's block. So shortly, that's what we'll be doing. revealing the truth for me, maybe not for you. Paranormal is only paranormal until it's known, and then it's just old normal. There is no real paranormal. Everything is paranormal, is normal once you know what it is. It's a word that scientists wrote when they couldn't explain what was going on. Oh, that's that paranormal. Oh, here's another one, pseudoscience. It's a pseudoscience. That means it wants to be a science, but it isn't. And that's what this is. It's a pseudoscience, according to scientific people. To me, there's just one. It's not science and pseudoscience. There's just a pursuit of the truth and the unknown. But it's easy to put a label on something. It's hard to take that label off. Even 100 years later, that label still sticks, and it's pretty strong. But guys like me, we walk through that kind of stuff. I don't see any barriers. I see stupid people who are afraid, but I don't see any barriers. Only barrier is the one you put up. A lot of you are evolving as mediums and psychic, and the main thing you have to do is overcome that block you put up. After that, it's really just pops right out, and you go, oh my gosh, why didn't I think of that earlier? Perhaps I'll teach some classes on it. My wife sort of introduced that yesterday. She has, as you have learned, my wife is a fount of great ideas. She's not just a pretty face. She comes up with a lot of neat ideas that I say, why didn't I do that? So maybe I'll be teaching a class of how to evolve as a psychic medium from being slightly abnormal to being really abnormal, which in the future will be normal. Talk too long. No fear, no regret, no anger. Thanks for watching.